Hi everyone, Sandman here. This video is brought to you by a donation from Mr. Anonymous, and here's what he has to say. Hey Sandman, sorry for the late reply. I work in the healthcare field and it's been crazy. I put my comments in the comment field, but it looks as though they didn't show up. My suggested topic was the rise of antibiotic resistance. It said that the two main reasons for this are feeding antibiotics to animals and parents pressuring doctors to prescribe antibiotics for their children when they're not needed. By parents, I wonder if the real culprit is neurotic mothers. Cover that or a topic of your own choosing. Keep up the good work, and cheers. Well, Mr. Anonymous, thanks for the donation as well as the topic. I guess you want me to discuss overbearing mothers that are too responsible and give their children too many of those banana-flavored antibiotics when they're younger, and then those same kids grow up and have all sorts of antibiotic-related problems that go beyond just causing antibiotic resistance. I, of course, probably have such ailments as both my naturopath and functional medicine doctors think my problems are related to the same thing. I think it's a combination of antibiotics use at a young age, as well as recently, as well as stress that have wrecked my health. In certain circumstances, like right now what we're facing with COVID, where presidents and prime ministers in countries like Iceland, New Zealand, and Taiwan are women, they have own group preference. So that serves them quite well, because protecting other women is like protecting themselves. But when it comes to taking too many medications for things like mild colds, infections, and mental health issues, women tend to overdo it from my experience. I'll discuss this and more in just a moment. But let me first tell everyone about today's sponsor, the Brave browser. Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave browser. It's free, blocks online advertising, and protects your privacy and data from evil tech companies. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below. Anyways, now back to the video. Mr. Anonymous, antibiotic resistance is not the only problem they cause. My skin problems started in the 4th grade, but there was no pain, just mildly thicker skin around my fingernails that peeled off easily, and I didn't think too much about it. Yes, I did take antibiotics at the time, maybe once or twice a year. I was also dealing with the stress associated with bullying that began at that point in my life. So antibiotics killing off the good bacteria in my body, along with stress elevating my cortisol and lowering my immune system, started my journey with yeast overgrowths that a year or two ago were so bad that I was contemplating suicide. When people tell you that there are worse things in life than death, you better believe it. Until you've actually been there, you don't really know what that means. About a month and a half ago to 2 months ago, I finally got off about 5 months worth of low-dose antibiotics that messed up my digestive system. That's finally getting back to normal, and I know it's going to sound disgusting, but I haven't had a normal bowel movement in a couple of months now. It looks like pho without the noodles. How's that for toilet humor? As for antibiotics, the combination of using them to kill off your beneficial bacteria and then cortisol elevating your blood sugar feeding the bad yeasts that are naturally there in proper amounts can actually be disastrous is what I've learned. The problem is also that I found out that I was a junkie for dopamine and adrenaline. I would get that from watching thought-provoking content online. Watching stuff like that, I felt myself getting tense and stressed out, and suddenly my skin condition would flare up because of it. So I've thrown out all television, news, and media consumption and tried cutting out as many toxic people in my life as possible. That's allowed me to get control of my skin. However, if I live a low-stress life for a year or two, then I can reduce the yeast and boost my immune system by lowering the dopamine and cortisol. I'm not going to lie, I'm addicted to online drama and dopamine. Maybe that's why God gifted women with better immune systems, because they have to deal with more stressful drama in their lives, real or otherwise. During the COVID crisis, they've actually died far less, perhaps because of the stronger female immune system privilege. But it's at times like these where I have to be careful what I say online, because I might end up like those 2 doctors thrown off of YouTube for saying that our immune systems are crashing if we don't interact with others. The governor of New York says that with the lockdowns, people that are staying at home are getting the most sick. Maybe social isolation makes us sick by weakening our immune systems too. Maybe because women are more social, they talk to more people face to face and share more germs, hence strengthening their immune systems that way. That might be a possibility because men tend to be more socially isolated. As we heard on a Joe Rogan video, in one male prison, 95% plus of the men got COVID, but none of them had symptoms because their immune systems were that strong. If that's really the case, then living in close proximity to others is seemingly beneficial to humans. That would also mean there's going to be a lot of diseased single cat ladies in the coming decades, because no man actually wants to interact with any of them. because they don't find the smell of cat urine all that delicious. But exploring the topic of antibiotics resistance possibly being the fault of neurotic mothers and women, I don't think it has to do with mothers. I think it has to do with doctors. Try getting antibiotics for longer than a week or two duration these days. They used to hand them out like pedophiles hand out lollipops, and now they can lose their license for handing them out for too long. Is that because of antibiotic resistance, or is it because the various medical colleges out there don't want to face a backlash from a sick population that puts 2 plus 2 together? As for myself, I'm now learning to get rid of my skin conditions and infections without antibiotics. I have to lower stress as low as possible, and my problems started right after periods of stress during my life in great amounts. I know that if I took 6 months to a year off this YouTube thing, my health would improve greatly. As of right now, I'm limiting my time in front of screens to only when I'm working for about 4 to 5 hours a day. That's down from somewhere around 10 to 12 hours. I'm also taking something called BioK Plus and progressive probiotics that will help restore my healthy bacteria all over my body. With regards to antibiotics overuse, even once is enough. I'm glad that mothers are being superseded by doctors these days when it comes to antibiotics. I know because even my mother complained that doctors wouldn't give her any. On the health front, it hasn't been all bad news bears. The pain in my palms from calcified muscles from working too much back in 2016 is now completely gone. The calcium that remains is the size of a grain of rice, and it keeps shrinking, and I can use my hands completely doing any task I want without any pain whatsoever. It took me 10 months since taking a combination of vitamin D3 plus K2 supplements to get rid of it. I also had a CT scan done about 5 months after I started taking it, and the mild arteriosclerosis I had cleared up about halfway. So that's been a huge success. My throat is still doing great because I'm on the keto diet. Most likely I have an allergy to all grains and complex carbohydrates. Stargate of Akan has been on the keto diet recently as well, and now he understands how addicting sugar truly can be. With women pushing medications on children that can't handle them, and where it might wreck their health, is a situation where too many precautions are harmful. I keep using the example of COVID as somewhere where the countries that did the right thing jumped on it quickly, and many had overbearing female leaders where that actually worked out to get the cases to zero as quickly as possible. Women afraid of danger is a wonderful thing in certain circumstances, but it can also lead to waste and be disastrous at other times. For example, when it comes to health, women are notorious hypochondriacs when compared to men that don't take their health seriously enough. But once COVID showed up, the hospitals and doctors' offices became empty, in part because women were scared of getting sick, so many ended up staying home. But before all of this, the last 4 of the doctor's visits I went to, I guessed about 70 to 80% of people waiting in the office were women, regardless of age. Most of the guys I saw there were retired guys. Most also looked like they were in considerable pain. The tragedy of having a neurotic mother force medicine down your throat, if you want it or not, is that at that age, you can't interfere with her wishes. I'm glad the doctors here in Canada don't dole out antibiotics like they used to. I mentioned earlier that humans living in close proximity to one another develop stronger immune systems, if you believe what Joe Rogan said. If that's the case, then the next time animal activists see crowded chicken feedlots, maybe they shouldn't be so harsh on the farmers. Maybe it's not just because it's cheaper to keep all those chickens in a smaller space. Maybe it also boosts their immune systems too. With regards to animals and antibiotics, if you're not taking them in pill form, odds are you're consuming them in your meat. That's why I buy antibiotic-free chicken. That's why it's twice as expensive, because the death rate of antibiotic-free animals is much higher. I'm not an expert in farming or infectious diseases, unless that disease is gynocentrism. So maybe someone can enlighten us all in the comment section about farming, antibiotics, and if keeping animals in crowded conditions helps or hurts their immune systems. With regards to antibiotics or most other medications, women tend to overdo things, more than men, because they fear physical danger and they fear for their safety more than we do. So that paranoia also spills over to their sons, because from a biological standpoint, a son is a husband backup plan after she nags the husband to death. So she's just looking out for her own self-interest down the line by looking out for her son. But instead of letting his own immune system wrestle it out with the coof and take the ever so slightly chance in this modern world that he might die from it, she decides to shove those pills right down his throat. I don't know if I've already mentioned this, but I was speaking to my doctor a while back about the side effects of antibiotics, and he told me that sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. That sometimes you actually have to weigh out the risk-reward when you start taking a medicine. When I used to get eczema flares before I started using a humidifier and solve my problem that way, I used a cream that's known to cause cancer. I used very little of it, but I looked online and there was a mother putting this cream all over her baby's bottom, only for the kid to get cancer and die as a result. I also remember visiting the Laura Plantation home in Louisiana many years ago. One of the tour guides told me that one of the women that owned it before ran it over 100 years ago and tried some experimental treatment to treat her daughter's acne, and the daughter ended up dying. Yes, it's female nature to take care of their children, but when women become obsessive compulsive hypochondriacs, they can hinder more than they can help. Another way that mothers try and help their kids when they're sick is by forcing them to eat when they've lost their appetites. I suspect the reason we stop getting hungry when we're sick is because most of our immune system is in our gut. And if it doesn't have to defend us from any potential dangers from our food, then white blood cells might actually be able to go to other parts of our body to fight infections there. Plus, not all foods are the same when it comes to when you're sick. Chicken soup, yes, is good. But toast, fruit, sugar, and carb-rich foods are a no. Upping your blood sugar means that your immune system is suppressed. I'm sure many of you remember being force-fed vitamin C by your mother, along with high-carb foods. One just counteracts the other. But women always have to look like they're helping, because if they don't, then they might fear that people are looking at them from the outside and they might say that you're neglecting your children. Could it be possible that they would rather damage the health of their healthy children by being overbearing, instead of damage their personal reputation by appearing to not care about said children? Mr. Anonymous, I strongly believe that women's altruism, which appears on the outside with regards to their behavior, is a fancy wrapper to hide their selfishness. That woman with the daughter covered in pimples was probably trying to elevate her own daughter's sexual marketplace value so that her daughter could marry into a successful rich family and make her look like an amazing mother. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks again, Mr. Anonymous, for the donation and topic. Don't forget to smash the like button the way that mothers force you to smash those carbs when you're sick, even if they make you even more sick. Bang that bell and check out the mystery link. Follow me on BitChute, Twitter, and Facebook to get tomorrow's video today. Subscribe to me on Minds, Gab, and MGTOW.tv to get the video for the day after tomorrow. This channel's been demonetized, so if you want to get back at corporate censors, demonetize them by taking away their ad dollars by installing the Brave browser. Link is down below. It also helps me out and you get cryptocurrency for viewing ads as well. You can also help me out through Subscribestar. Thanks for taking your daily dose of red pills, and remember, a red pill a day keeps mothers from feeding their babies cow milk containing growth hormones and antibiotics away. So enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers. Now you can order and pay for dolls through 6 easy monthly payments so long as your credit is approved. Francesca is the favorite of many guys. How about Xena? She's certainly going to make your life full of wonder. You can also play patty cake with Jessica Rabbit if you prefer. Maybe this Tinkerbell will make you swell. Their futanari attachments also fit most dolls. If you have to ask about that, then it's not for you. What are you waiting for? It's time to trade shekels for some silicone jigglies. So lifelike you'll want to take all of them for a ride on your swing swang. Check out the YouTube channel as well as the website down below.